Talking about insuring your profits this evening on Mansfield's Money Sense. Nice to have you with us. Lita Mgudlwa, who's the manager of Signature Made, a division of Aon South Africa, is our guest in the studio this evening. Lita, I'm gonna be blunt with you now.
Sure.
Are you guys not looking at these other areas of possible risk purely because you want to get more and more products on the market?
Well, that does play a role. However, the most important thing.
I think I've just busted him.
No, the most important thing is the fact that we have a clientele out there, and I've mentioned Consumer Protection Act. So if I don't go and exploit those areas to try and reduce that risk, then I may have failed in my duties as a broker,
Or risk manager.
Or as a risk manager,
Yeah.
in highlighting them at the very least, because now there's, as the legal system in South Africa is saying through this Consumer Protection Act, you have a right of recourse in some way or the other against that service provider.
But how do you offer insurance against that sort of risk, Lita?
Okay, if we use a scenario, let's use the riots and strike season that we're going through at the moment. Right. If you are unable to, if the people come through your property, they see that your people are working, they chase them out, they destroy your property, you can't sell your goods to your clientele, then for an indefinite period, then you run a risk of reducing your profits for a particular month or for a particular period, 6 months indefinitely. So if you choose not to insure those, or if you choose to take on the risk yourself, great, so be it. But if you choose to explore the possibility that because you have certain contractual obligations to your clients or to your staff members or to your banks, and you chose to insure those, then yeah, you've gone a long way to reducing that risk of minimizing your profits.
Okay, so wait, hang on, let me get this right now. Let me try and understand exactly what you're saying. Let's come back to the example that we quoted in the first half of the show about a panel beater.
Yes.
So here I am, Jeremy's panel beaters.
Yes.
And the striking workers come past my business.
Yes.
They break my front gate,
Yeah.
but that's all right because I'm insured.
Yeah.
They break the front door, but I'm insured.
Yeah.
Then they come inside my panel beating business, and one of them takes a rock and smashes Mr. Weinstein's SL 500.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, who's it's in there just because his wife reversed into a pole, but now it's just totally trashed.
Yes.
And Mr. Weinstein, I've told him he can have his vehicle back next week.
Yes.
So I can insure against that sort of action, so that when I phone Mr. Weinstein and he says, well, in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, I want my vehicle back in 100%, I can insure against that.
Yeah. You would have gone through a conversation with your broker or your risk manager that says, in the event of, and then you create a scenario, that scenario, and say, plan A is this, plan B is that, plan C is that. So if any one of them fail, you understand the impact it has on your business and on your clients. So if Mr. Weinstein phones, you know how to respond rather than just throwing your arms up in the air. So you can, through that conversation with your broker, yes, it has a financial impact because Mr. Weinstein is upset. Now he's never bringing his car back to you again, and all of those sort of things. You know how to react to that through the conversations you're having with your risk manager. And he will then in turn interpret that into an insurance program that he can offer you depending on obviously the situations, so or your risk or your appetite for risk. So he will then structure something that will protect you or reduce the impact that it will have on your bottom line.
Now, your answer will be yes, I know it, because all insurance brokers / risk managers say this.
Okay.
Are we underinsured?
Yes. Well, you asked me to say yes.
So predictable.
I think that we do tend to forget certain covers that we require as a business. We will be adequately insured in certain areas and inadequate in others, and completely forget other areas. So it goes back to what I said earlier on about 80% of the businesses insuring adequately what they perceive as their risk. But all the others, like this right and struggle or loss of profits or the kidnap and ransom areas, which are not uppermost in their minds, you forget them, and yet they have a big impact in your business.
What other areas should people be considering? If you run your own, you're a one-man shop, you run your own franchise, your own business. We've discussed the rights and strike action. We've discussed kidnap and ransom. We've discussed dishonesty amongst staff. Are there any other areas that you guys, through your research, are picking up that people should be looking at?
I think probably understanding in what sphere you're operating in. As a businessman, so if you are a franchise in the food and beverage industry, you would prefer to be with a risk manager that understands how that industry works. Because yes, there's traditional insurance, but there's also all those other risk areas that you as a food and beverage specialist understand more than a generalist in the insurance industry would understand.
Is that what you guys do? Do you look at specific industries and bring in people to those industries who understand the industry and can package up products around it?
A lot of the larger brokers, if I can call them that, or broking houses, have specialists across the board.
Okay.
From aeronautical to mining to food and beverage to whatever automotive, sports.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and particularly the global players that are coming in here, we're now having we're privileged enough to be able to exchange ideas, one on how we understand our industry in South Africa and how their new ideas are helping regenerate the insurance industry, both locally, wherever you are as a broking house, and internationally. Because there's a lot of things that we do, feedback that I've got anyway, there's a lot of things that we do in South Africa that can be learned by the international market.
Is that the way that, and I know we're going completely off the topic here, but this is how these chats go.
Yeah.
Is that the way in your opinion, do you think that the insurance industry is going to go, that we're going to get more international players coming in probably because of profit margins in emerging markets, which I would imagine would be higher than they are in developed countries? Yeah. And then getting access to that intellectual capital from overseas and seeing how it applies in our market?
I mean, there's great examples like Aon and Glenrand, who have just gone through their merger and are now going through an experience of sharing ideas. There are common grounds specifically in terms of product development, what we've done in specific areas in South Africa, which they haven't even thought about or haven't done effectively over the years internationally. So yes, one does need to be focused on a specific area and then understand exactly how your industry operates here, because there's nuances that you can always take elsewhere and then help grow that industry over there.
Essentially, what I'm getting out of this is there's been a shift in the relationship between the client and the broker, where before a broker used to go to a client with a product and say, would you like this product? Now it's becoming more of a conversation.
I think it always starts as a broker to a client, here's a product. It evolves to that conversation, and it needs to evolve to that conversation quite quickly. Because you need to understand what the client is going through, understand, as my boss likes to say, what keeps the client awake overnight. And there's various amusing answers around that. We won't go through that.
Go there.
No. But we need to understand as risk managers exactly what that is that keeps that client awake at night. And you then need to fully understand what it is that he or she's going through in that sphere of business that they're in on a daily basis, and then be able to preempt that. So you do need a good listening ear as a broker, understand that market, and then play as much as you can in it and be a step ahead.
So basically you're saying love your broker.
You must always love your broker. It could get you out of big trouble.
Love your broker. Okay. You're not my broker, but I'll love you. Okay.
Thank you.
Give me a kiss.
Just in my ear, yeah.
Just come.
Nibble.
Lita Mgudlwa, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been wonderful talking to you.